Good morning, everybody. Let me, I need to plug this in real quick. Good morning, Arizona. Good morning, the world. I love, I love getting on these lives. The people that you connect with, and it's a lot of fun. Well, good morning to everyone jumping on the live. I'm really glad that you're here this morning. As people are coming in, let me ask you a question, okay? If you struggle with low energy, stubborn weight, cravings, or blood sugar issues, would you mind just typing one word in the chat? Okay. Type energy, weight, cravings, or diabetes. Just put one word in the chat. I always like seeing what people are dealing with, especially when they jump in these lives, because it helps to guide the conversation. But I'm really excited to get on this morning and talk about something that I'm very passionate about. Not only am I passionate about this, but I always wanted to become a police officer. I always felt like that was God's path, was for me to become a police officer. And then when that didn't happen, I'm like, okay, what's going on here? Why was I not able to become a police officer? And as I thought more and more on this topic, I'm like, I love what I do today because I truly feel like I get to make a difference in people's lives. And that's what this is all about. It's all about sharing information, helping people to become a better version, healthier version of themselves. And so, I get on here and I talk about something that affects 93% of us. It's called insulin resistance. Okay. Most people have no idea what insulin resistance even is because nobody talks about it. And, the real reason I ask this question is because most people don't realize that many of these health problems that we have come from one root issue. And it is something that is affecting millions of people today. It's called insulin resistance. Toothless. Sorry, guys. Oh, sorry, guys. My cat decided to pee on me. This is ridiculous. Wow. This is beyond. Sorry, guys. I'm cleaning up a mess right now, and I will be back in just a second so that I can get this cleaned up. I have wood floors and tile, and my cat happened to just pee on the tile and the wood. Appreciate you guys. It's so frustrating because I have literally 2 litter boxes and she just pees on the floor, and it's the most frustrating, annoying thing in the world. And I just don't know what to do to stop her. Taking her to the vet. Vets, there's nothing wrong with her. She's just lashing out. But it is beyond frustrating to have to clean that up off the floor. But one of the reasons why I get on here though is because of something that affects us, right? And it's something called insulin resistance. And when insulin stays elevated in the body for most of the day, what happens is that your body becomes stuck in storage mode. Okay. Your body is literally storing energy. And that means that the body struggles to burn the stored FAT for energy, right? And when that happens, okay, people often feel tired during the day. Okay. They crave sugar or carbs, and they struggle to lose weight even when they are trying really hard. And so most people think that their issue is simply calories. But for many people, the real issue is how their body is handling insulin and blood sugar. And so this morning, I'm going to talk to you and show you this simple metabolic protocol. I have it listed right here in the TikTok shop. Okay. That's completely changed my health. But before I explain that to you, I want to tell you why this has become so personal to me. You know, at one point in my life, I donated a kidney to my sister's husband. And it was 7 years later when I was diagnosed with stage 4 kidney disease. So at one point, my health was heading in the wrong direction. Okay. You know, my family history with health was extremely difficult. My dad passed away early. Okay. Um, my brother passed away at the age of 33 years old. And I think about this. You know, one point in my life, I was struggling with stage 4 kidney disease, and no one in my family had diabetes, but insulin resistance was everywhere. It almost seems that everybody that I come in contact with has these health issues, and most people don't even know it. And so watching this happen to people that I loved and cared about forced me to start asking a serious question. Okay. And that serious question was, you know, why are so many people getting sick even when they're trying harder, even when they're trying to eat harder, eat better, right? And what I eventually discovered is that many people are dealing with something called insulin resistance, right? And they don't even realize it, right? Insulin resistance can develop for years, even decades before someone is ever diagnosed with type 2 diabetes or prediabetes. You know, when you go to a doctor, your blood sugar can still look normal, but your insulin levels are elevated behind the scene. And when insulin stays elevated all day long, folks, your body becomes extremely good at storing fat, but it becomes very inefficient at getting rid of it, right? And this is when people start to experience fatigue and cravings and, you know, weight gain that seems impossible to reverse, right? And once I started learning how insulin works in the body and how to stabilize blood sugar, everything began changing. Right. My energy improved, my metabolism improved. Eileen, let me know if you have any questions, but this is why I love getting on here, and this is why I'm so passionate about teaching this and sharing this. Let me ask you guys a question, okay? How many of you feel like you get really tired in the afternoon? And thank you, Jess, thank you. Hey, how many of you, like when it comes afternoon, maybe it's an hour after lunch, how many of you are you just feel really, really tired? If that happens to you, would you mind typing tired in the chat? If you're the person that in the afternoon, you're ready for a nap, okay, type tired. It helps me to know how many people are affected by this. And also, if you wouldn't mind, please drop your location on where you guys are tuning in from. I'm always curious where people are located around the world, okay? Folks, one of the biggest signs of insulin resistance is something that I call the blood sugar roller coaster, okay? Someone eats something that's high in refined carbs or sugar, and what happens is your blood sugar spikes quickly, okay? And when that happens, your insulin spikes to bring that blood sugar back down. But what happens is that the insulin overshoots sometimes, okay? And what happens is that you got a significant drop in your blood sugar, right? It becomes too low. And when that happens, your body literally starts craving quick energy, right? And it's usually in the form of sugar and carbs. Now, this cycle repeats over and over and over again. Blood sugar spike, insulin spike, and then you've got the energy crash, and then you've got the cravings. And many people go through that cycle every single day without even realizing it. And so here's something that most people never really hear. There's actually 3 hormones that actually control the FAT storage inside of your body. This is what's causing, the stored energy to cause an increase in weight and love handles and protruding belly. And those 3 hormones are insulin, glucagon, and cortisol, right? Insulin is what stores your energy. Glucagon is what releases this stored energy. And cortisol is what helps regulate your stress and your blood sugar balance. Folks, when your insulin stays elevated all day long, okay, your body literally has a really hard time accessing this stored energy. But the moment your insulin levels start to drop, everything changes. There's 2 things that I teach people, fasting and fiber, okay? And when you incorporate, right, when insulin drops during fasting periods, what's amazing is that the glucagon will then signal your body to release the stored energy. And this is what your body starts using for its primary source of fuel. That's one of the reasons why intermittent fasting can be such a powerful tool for people. Now, let me ask you guys another question. How many of you deal with cravings, especially at night? If you deal with cravings, please type cravings in the chat. Elevate your health. Thank you for being on. If that happens to you, okay, first and foremost, you're not alone. Most people think that these cravings are a willpower issue, but it's not. There's something off inside of our bodies. Our body is always telling us, right, what's going on. Sometimes we don't always listen to this. And when your blood sugar has been unstable all day long, what happens is that your brain starts demanding quick energy. This is one of the reasons why people crave sugar and bread and pasta and or snacks late at night. And what happens is that when your blood sugar becomes more stable, those cravings often decrease dramatically. And so, one thing that really helped me tremendously was learning about fiber. And I know that that can sound random, right? Fiber, ladies and gentlemen, plays a very huge role in stabilizing your blood sugar. Folks, when fiber is present, okay, it slows down how quickly the glucose can enter your bloodstream. This means that your blood sugar rises more gradually, right? You're not getting this massive spike. And when your glucose doesn't spike as much, that means that your body doesn't have to release as much insulin, and that's a good thing. When you do this, your energy remains stable, and unfortunately, many people today are extremely low in fiber. Because if you look at the food that we eat, many of the ultra processed foods have had the fiber completely removed, which causes blood sugar to spike very quickly. And folks, when you go longer periods of time without putting food into your mouth, it's called time-based eating, okay? It does amazing things, right? Because our body is pretty powerful. Our body has the ability to heal itself if we give it the right environment. What I love more than anything is sharing how a simple tool, right? This is exactly why I talk about the Feel Great system. It's exactly why I share it with people. You know, most people, they don't know what insulin resistance is, folks, but this is something that is literally affecting all of us, the majority of us. How many of you struggle with skin issues? Skin tags. I mean, let's talk about the obvious, okay? How many of you have the brain fog? Let's just talk about the obvious. We know that insulin resistance can cause chronic issues, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, but let's talk about the obvious. How many of you are tired all of the time? How many of you are hungry all the time? How many of you have the brain fog, right? You walk into a room and you've completely forgotten why you've even walked into that room. What if there was something that could help boost your energy that wasn't a medication, wasn't a diet, wasn't an energy drink, right? What if there was something that could actually help you go longer periods of time without food, right? Without thinking about food. You're allowing your body to heal itself, right? What would that look like? This is exactly why I talk and not just that, but I use the Feel Great system every single day. It is a simple tool that has completely changed people's lives, right? It's a simple yerba mate tea, and it's a fiber supplement that was created by Rexall Drugs back in the late 80s, early 90s. You know what's crazy is that we need fiber. We're not getting enough fiber, okay? When we have the right types of fiber, okay, it slows down our digestion. Insulin kind of acts like an Uber driver, okay? It is the gatekeeper to our cells. And what happens is that insulin, right, it goes and it picks up the glucose sitting in our bloodstream and it tries to deliver it to our cells. Your cells open the doors and allow the glucose to enter in. And this is what we use for energy, right? This is the energy that powers your brain, your organs. But what we don't realize is how often and how frequently, we are spiking our insulin all the time because, folks, how many of us are eating 3 meals a day and snacking 2 to 3 times throughout the day? What I want to help you guys accomplish or achieve is getting your energy back, right? This is the energy that, this is the energy that gets us through the day where we're not feeling like we have to, crave food all the time or energy drinks. And here's the beautiful power about our bodies. Our body has the ability to heal itself and create waves. I would really love to know why you think it's so expensive. $5 a day, folks, is not that expensive, especially when you compare to what we spend on fast food and what we spend on snacks and coffee. And I mean, folks, you can't buy a fast food meal for less than $5. You can't go to Starbucks or Dutch Bros or your favorite coffee shop and probably get, your venti coffee for less than $6 or $7. So when somebody says it's expensive, I'm trying to understand why they think it's so expensive when we spend more than $5 a day on stuff that actually causes our insulin resistance to be worse. What I love about what I teach people is that the Feel Great system exists for a reason. It's been around for over 30 years. Most people don't even know that it exists. It helps to boost your energy. It helps to increase the metabolism. It increases your FAT burning inside your body. If you want to crush your cravings, if you want to blunt your glucose and insulin spikes, I would do this. When your insulin drops, folks, your body can begin accessing the stored energy again. That's what's so amazing. Now, here's something that's completely changed everything for me, right? The goal is not just weight, right? The goal is metabolic flexibility. A metabolically flexible body can switch between burning glucose and burning FAT for energy, right? Our bodies have two fuel sources. We're either burning food all the time or we're burning our stored FAT. And for those of us that are burning food for energy, our bodies are constantly relying on constant sugar and carbs. And when your blood sugar drops, right, you feel terrible because your body is inefficient, or it's not efficient at burning your stored FAT. And so what do? We eat all the time, and we're in this vicious cycle over and over and over again. Now, here are a few books that I recommend, folks, right? Dr. Mindy, and I have these listed in the shop. Dr. Mindy Pelz wrote this book, Fast Like a Girl. Okay. She talks about the healing power of fasting, right? And how it can help to boost your energy. It can help us to burn our stored FAT. It can help to balance your hormones. Okay. Here's another one. Dr. Robert Lustig. Okay. He's a nutrition genius. Okay. He went to MIT. He's got a medical degree from Cornell. What's crazy is that, he's a childhood endocrinologist, which is just a fancy term for hormone expert, but he's super smart, right? He said that the number one fast food restaurant in the world is not what we think it is. It's not McDonald's like most of us think, right? He said it's our public schools food system, okay? And here's the last book, okay? Why We Get Sick by Dr. Benjamin Bickman. Dr. Benjamin Bickman wrote this book, and he calls it the silent epidemic because most of us have insulin resistance, but we don't know it. Folks, this is why I share this. I want you guys to understand that I'm living proof that you can fix and improve insulin resistance. There's some landscapers going across the street. Let me close this door. And thank you to everyone who is hopping on this live and tapping the screen. I unfortunately have been restricted a bunch of times, which is one of the reasons why our numbers are limited. It's beyond frustrating, but I just do my best and share the information I think can, really help people to identify and understand what insulin resistance is, because that's what it's all about. Folks, when you understand how our body works, how insulin works, how our blood sugar works, we can start improving our health, right? And Alexa off. And one of the reasons why I teach the Feel Great system, and not just teach it, but I use it, is because I have never come across anything that has worked for me. When I wake up first thing in the morning, I mean, this is the easiest thing that I've ever used. User 745, thank you, right? When I wake up in the morning, I open this and I mix it with water and I sip on it, okay? Hey, Charlie. Look at my, hi, Charlie. What are you doing? Hi. Hi. She's a sweetheart. And so what I try and help people to understand first and foremost is what insulin resistance is. When we can identify what is causing our sleep apnea or our PCOS or all of these things, we can start to resolve these issues. Okay? But the problem is most of us don't know what insulin resistance is because nobody's talking about it. But at the end of the day, it's what affects 93% of us. Okay? And that's the scary part. The scary part is that most people don't know, And here's the thing. Here's one of the reasons why fasting can be such a powerful tool. When we fast, okay, it helps to reboot your stem cells. When we go longer periods of time without food, you're literally giving your gut a break and you're giving insulin a break. You're going to reduce inflammation. You're going to reduce autoimmune chaos. If you have, I was talking to somebody last night who has plantar fasciitis, right? Anything that ends in itis is caused by inflammation. And when we get our insulin under control, that's one of the first things that starts to change, right? When you fast, your body repairs the tight junctions. It eases things like IBS and Crohn's, rheumatoid arthritis. And then let's talk about fiber real quick and why fiber is so important, right? When you have both soluble and insoluble fibers, you're feeding your good bacteria, okay? It acts like a prebiotic. It helps to regulate your blood sugar. So when I take this fiber, it's helping to balance out my blood sugar. It is helping me to prevent fatty liver, right? Folks, you guys realize that before 1980, people that had fatty liver, these were people who drank alcohol, right? And now they call it non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And 93% of people are dealing with what is called insulin resistance. Both sugar and alcohol, they both go directly to your liver. That's where it gets broken down there. Folks, here's the science behind why insulin resistance happens. Every time we eat, especially carbs, our blood sugar spikes, and that triggers the release of insulin, which helps the body to absorb the sugar. But over time, if you and I are eating too much sugar or constantly snacking, what happens is that your body starts to resist insulin. And this causes this cycle of insulin resistance, because when insulin can't get into the cells effectively, right? It can't get that sugar in there. It starts getting stored in places where it shouldn't be. Like your liver, your joints, even your brain. Okay, this can lead to joint pain and arthritis. It can lead to brain fog and Alzheimer's and dementia and high blood pressure and cholesterol problems. This is why managing insulin is crucial for our health. Let's talk about your experiences with insulin resistance, right? Or intermittent fasting, or any other questions you have. Please feel free to drop them in the chat. I want you guys to remember that insulin resistance is the root cause of so many common health issues. And by managing insulin through lifestyle changes, we can prevent a lot of these chronic diseases that come with it. Let's stop just masking the symptoms with meds and focus on fixing the root cause. And if you've ever been told that you can't reverse type 2 diabetes, that's wrong. I've seen people reverse it. It's about lifestyle changes. And trust me, it works. And let's start with two huge things that will actually help. Time restricted eating, it's called fasting, and fiber. Okay? And first off, I want to talk, because I get a lot of questions out of this. I want to touch on the carnivore or keto diet. If it works for you, great. If it feels good, your blood work looks good, and you're thriving, then awesome. But honestly, I'm not a huge advocate for strict diets because I don't believe that it can be sustained for a long period of time. We need flexibility to live our life. And I really appreciate you guys tuning into this live, right? And don't forget to share this live if you found value in it. Feel free to tap the screen if you feel like what I'm sharing is helping you. And folks, even if you don't have weight issues, you could still have high blood pressure. You could have migraines. You could have skin tags, psoriasis, or you could have other symptoms that are all connected to insulin resistance. This isn't just a weight problem, folks. It's a hormonal problem. And it affects more than just your waistline. Okay? I have customers, I have a lot of them who didn't have weight issues, but they struggled with things like high blood pressure and high cholesterol and sleep apnea. And what most people don't realize is that each and every one of these things are all tied to insulin resistance. So if you think you're exempt from these problems because you're not overweight, I want you to think again, because insulin resistance can show up in many different facets. Now that we know insulin resistance is the root cause of so many health issues, what can we do about it? And the first step is to get your glucose spikes under control. And one of the most effective ways to do this, folks, is by practicing the time-restricted eating, fasting, intermittent fasting, okay? Let's talk about what most of us have been told, right? Move more, eat less. Drop a 1 in the chat if you've ever heard that advice. And of course, we've been told calories in, calories out, right? This is the key to weight loss, right? But let's think about this logically, okay? If I eat 1,500 calories a day and I burn 2,000 calories a day, that's a 500 calorie deficit. And in theory, I should lose about a pound a week. But if that were true after 200 weeks, if I weighed 200 pounds, would I waste down to nothing? It doesn't happen, folks. Our body is a lot smarter than simple math. Our body will adapt, right? When you cut calories too much, your metabolism will actually slow down to match. And suddenly your body is burning less, you're storing more, and you're feeling even worse than you were before. You know what's crazy? Here's something wild, folks. They've known this for over 100 years. There was a study done at the Carnegie Institute of Washington back in 1919. And this study found that when people restricted calories, they became tired, hungry, they lost muscle. It's called sarcopenia. They even had a 20% reduction in their heart function. Does that sound familiar to any one of you? And folks, if you've ever experienced any of these, type me in the chat, right? We've got belly fat, right? Skin tags. We've got, how many of you feel like you go to the bathroom all the time? Okay. Joint pain, high blood pressure. How many of you crash after meals, or how many of you are constantly hungry, right? I had all of these, and I had no idea that they were all connected to one thing: insulin resistance. When you understand insulin, everything changes. You know, one of the reasons why I've become so passionate about this is my dad passed away early. He passed away on Easter Sunday, 2017. My brother was 33 years old when he passed away. And, at one point, my health was failing. I had stage 4 kidney disease. I didn't know what insulin resistance is, but I know what it is now. Folks, if you're struggling with your health right now, this information could change your life. And if you know somebody who needs to hear this, share the live with them so that they can hop on, they can listen, they can ask questions, right? Solomon said in the Bible, in all you're gaining, gain understanding. And let me tell you, understanding insulin resistance, it changed everything for me. Because the truth is that far too often we are just throwing medications at our symptoms, but it doesn't fix the root cause. Good morning, Miji. And here's the deal. If you want to make a big impact in business or life, you need to solve a major problem. And right now, insulin resistance is the biggest health issue out there. And over the past 2 years, I had stage 4 kidney disease that I reversed. I had migraines that I had for 23 years. I don't have migraines anymore. Acid reflux, brain fog. Right now, insulin resistance is the biggest health issue out there. And if you don't know what insulin resistance is, I encourage you to Google it, research it. This is going to be a hot health topic for years to come. It's behind the brain fog. It's behind everything from fatigue to prediabetes to your stubborn weight. And unfortunately, the USA is one of the worst countries when it comes to this. And we consume like 70% of the world's meds. And yet, things just keep getting worse and worse. So why are we all struggling with this? I want you guys to think. Hopefully, you've been thinking about your own health as I've been sharing these things. Right? What if what you're feeling isn't just you getting older, right? What if it's something way deeper? What if it's something that's been silently building for years, maybe even decades? And what I do is I help people find real answers to the health issues that traditional medicine often overlooks. And if you're tired all the time, if you're foggy, if you're in pain, if you're gaining weight for no reason at all, okay, if you just feel off, you're not crazy. And this is not just you're getting older, right? You're about to learn what most doctors won't tell you. It's called insulin resistance. And it's behind everything from brain fog to nerve pain to fatigue to prediabetes, PCOS, erectile dysfunction, low testosterone, right? And here's the truth, folks. If insulin resistance goes unchecked, it turns into diabetes, then into neuropathy, which is nerve damage that can leave you in pain and unable to walk, maybe even leads to amputations. It's crazy. But here's the truth, it's preventable. Your body has been whispering to you for years, and maybe we just haven't listened to it. So what is insulin? Insulin is made by your pancreas, and it acts like a key, okay? It acts like a key to open up your cells and allow the glucose to enter in so that your body uses it for energy. But here's the truth, right? When we flood our body, folks, with too much sugar and processed foods, what happens is that our cells stop listening. They become resistant. And now instead of fueling your body, the sugar gets stored as FAT, and it causes inflammation in our body. Now, this isn't about pushing pills, right? It's about understanding what's causing these health issues, and it's about fixing the root cause, getting you back to clearer thinking, right? Steady energy, living pain-free again. What would that mean like, right? The key to all of this is improving how your cells function, especially with insulin resistance, because when your insulin receptors aren't working right, it can lead to major health problems. And if we can fix that, the truth is that your body can actually start healing itself. So I want you guys to think of insulin as a fire, right? The fire represents the root cause, which is insulin resistance, okay? And the smoke to that fire are the symptoms that you feel, like weight gain and fatigue and skin problems. Most of us are just trying to blow away the smoke, okay? We're treating the symptoms instead of addressing the root cause, okay? Now, another big issue that some of you are running into is that most doctors aren't talking about insulin resistance, which is the root cause. This is why I'm so passionate about sharing this, right? Because you could have symptoms from insulin resistance and never even know it. That's the crazy part, okay? You could have it, and most people literally don't even know, okay? This is why I get on here. When I started utilizing the Feel Great system, and for those of you, I have it listed right here. Feel free to look into it. It comes with a 90-day money-back guarantee. It's around $5 a day, folks. I love talking about this. I wish that I would have known about this 20 years ago. 21 years ago is when my brother passed away. My dad passed away. If you are affected by these health issues and you're looking for some ways to improve your health, try going longer periods of time without eating, right? Time restricted eating, right? Going longer periods of time without thinking about food or even putting food into our mouth. When we give our body the ability to start healing itself, amazing things can happen. And I'm living proof that this can happen. And folks, if this resonates with you, if this sounds like what you've been looking for, praying for, you don't have to wait to fix your health. I love sharing this with people. I've got to jump off this live, but I just want you guys to know how much I appreciate those that are coming on here wanting to learn about a natural way to start improving our health that doesn't make us rely on meds or diets or feel like, everything we're doing is just, we're taking 2 steps backwards. These books, Why We Get Sick, Metabolical, Fast Like a Girl, right? These are great books. There's different authors, but their solution is the same, that insulin resistance happens to be the root cause behind these issues. And if all we're doing is just throwing medications at these symptoms, folks, without fixing the root cause, it's like having a leak in your ceiling, putting a bucket to catch the water, but we never fix the roof. We have to address the environment inside our body. And if we can do that, we're going to be able to get our blood sugar under control. We're going to balance those hormones. We're going to stabilize it. We're going to see the inflammation come down. And when inflammation comes down, autoimmune issues start to correct, okay? And if insulin resistance goes unchecked, folks, it leads to diabetes and then into neuropathy and cardiovascular and dementia and Alzheimer's, right? Your risk for cardiovascular disease goes up by 80% if you're diabetic. This tool is changing lives. It's changed mine. And if this resonates with you, if it sounds like what you've been looking for, praying for, you don't have to wait to fix your health, okay? Folks, I hope and pray that you guys have an amazing rest of your day. I love talking about this and sharing it because it has helped so many people, okay? I really do appreciate each and every one of your time. I hope you guys have an amazing weekend, and God bless you. You guys have a beautiful day.